Hi everyone, today I have with me Vanessa Hamilton, who is our sex and health educator, and she's in Sydney, which is amazing.
I know, it's
Hello.
great and it's warm.
And it's warmer than Melbourne, and we thought it would be the perfect opportunity to catch up and talk through what exactly Vanessa does and how it might be relevant if you've got a little one at home. So I think the first thing I'd love to ask is what is it exactly that you do, and what does your role do back in Melbourne?
Okay, so I've been a sexual health nurse for 24 years and a sexuality educator for 16 years. And when my children were little, I suddenly realised, especially when they started going to school, that this is really hard to talk to kids about sex and sexuality. And I'm an expert in it. So how are other people going with it? And after one particular tricky question from my 5-year-old, I thought, time for a career change. Perhaps I could start a business helping teachers and parents have conversations with kids about sex and sexuality, because having worked in sexual and reproductive health, I would see time and time again how much information people didn't know. And I was learning that we really need to know it throughout our lifetime.
Yeah, and I think even for me though, sometimes I get thrown questions and I don't even know how to respond, and it's not even relating to this topic.
And that happens to me. So it's a learning journey, and my aim is to support adults to have conversations. So I teach mainly parents, but I also teach teachers and I teach health professionals. And more recently I've been teaching in schools, because I've had schools contact me saying we need a contemporary approach to teaching sex and sexuality to children. So I teach from prep, from grade 5 up to university level as well, so across the board, because it's actually the same themes that I teach everybody about human sexuality.
And I think I try and think back to when I first started learning about things. It's all a bit of a blur for me, but I think it is that sort of grey area. We hear that we should be doing the right thing with our little ones, so you hear about being gender neutral with toys and supporting them in the right way. But I've obviously got little ones 4 and under, and I am starting to get these questions and them saying certain things in the bath and naming body parts and all sorts of things. So yeah, I think it's really important to be armed with the right information and set yourself up in the right way.
That's exactly right. Well, the thing is, what I find when I speak to parent sessions and why they're so successful, it's not about me, it's the information I give. And what I get commonly from parents is, that is the first sexuality education I've ever had.
Wow.
And I'm a parent.
Wow.
And I've had a Year 9 student say to me once, "Why are you speaking to the parents tonight? We're here, aren't we? They've done it. What could you possibly teach them?" Which brings us to the main point. It's not about sex. It's about so much more than that. It's about human sexuality.
In a bit of an overview, I guess, could you tell us the type of themes and topics that you would cover off in that education? Because I think if you think again back to school days, you talk about, the organs and this and that, but you're right, it's a little bit more complex than that. It's not just the basic birds and the bee books anymore.
It's not all biology, that's right. So human sexuality is really, really broad. Human sexuality is relevant to all of us from the day we're born to the day we die. So, for example, what's the first question we ask when a baby's born in the family?
Is it a boy or a girl?
Is it a boy or a girl? I teach, especially in the younger ages, the most important thing to start with is naming body parts, understanding how our bodies work, and not associating shame or fear or guilt with just normal body parts that everybody has, and putting it in a positive light with the amazing bodies that we have. Then it goes on to body safety and ensuring that people are safe because of the risk of sexual abuse. So that sort of information needs to start very early. And then all the sorts of things related to gender, which is different to sex assigned at birth, and moving on to interactions in the playground about learning consent and mutually negotiating a mutual enjoyable activity to do together. Those sort of strategies and learning those skills throughout their childhood helps them in intimate encounters later on in life. So consent starts in the playground. So there's lots of things.
And quite early on, right?
Very early on, So, for example, people consenting to giving everyone at the Christmas party a hug and a kiss. That's a big one.
Yeah, actually, yes. And funny you say that, actually. I have a debate with my husband all the time about, go and give that person a cuddle and go and give them a kiss. And I think, No, actually, what if they don't want to? You shouldn't really force them, right?
Not everybody are hug-loving people.
Yeah.
Some kids just really don't. I've got 7 or 8 nieces. How many have I got? 7. And one of them just does not want to give anyone a hug, and that's just her personality, and she should have the choice about that. So there's sort of 5 basic body safety rules that we do teach kids, and one of them is my body, it's my body, I say what goes. And if we're going to instill that body autonomy within them, that goes for not having to go and give a sloppy hug and kiss to a stranger that they're not familiar with or they don't know. There's still ways of teaching kids to be respectful and greet people with eye contact. No, I don't feel like a hug today. Can I have a high five? Can we shake hands? I say to my nieces and nephews, so good to see you. When you're ready, I'd love to share a hug together. Not come here and give me a hug. Don't give. You know, they're not. I shouldn't be asking for them to fix my intimacy requirements of seeing my nieces and nephews who I love and I want to kiss and hug and they're so gorgeous. It's not about that. It's about them sharing that bodily autonomy, that sharing that greeting on an equal level. People struggle with that a bit with our culture and our
different
background.
Probably respond to that differently.
They do, and so it all makes it worth it though when I've had contact from parents. This happens a lot. When for example, I recently received a call from a parent saying, thanking me for teaching her the body safety rules that she taught to her children, so her child was able to disclose the way that a particular family member was greeting her, and that person was known to be an abusive person. So people who are up in arms about not cuddling and kissing, that's negated by children being at risk of sexual abuse. There's no measure of that, is there? We just have to teach them their own rules.
You don't think of it that way immediately because it's just something that we've been brought up to.
It's what we do.
Yeah, it's what we do.
Why wouldn't we? It's disrespectful not to kiss grandma. You know, but kids aren't disrespectful.
No.
They usually want to give grandma a hug. It's the ones that don't want to should have the choice. So one of the things this parent did was send an email out to the family at Christmas and say the kids have been learning body safety rules and they'll choose if they want to give everyone a hug or not. So ask if they'd like to share one. The other options are high fives and shaking hands. Simple.
Yeah, and a good solution. And Vanessa has some really great book recommendations that we've got in the app. So great themes that we cover off within the app content. So I just love your book recommendations. So make sure you jump on and take a look. And thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.